It's funny, man. I speak with a lot of young people, and there there rarely is a time now in which I speak with young people where I don't bring up Thomas Clarkson, who was a young man who went to Cambridge University in the late 1700s, who just wanted to win the Latin essay contest because it was the shortcut. If you won the Latin essay contest, it literally elevated you very quickly. It was like America's Got Talent, whatever. And unbeknownst to him, the subject that year was going to be, is it wrong to enslave a man against his will? Very esoteric subject, but he took to it with a young man's fervor. Again, hell-bent on winning the prize, and he actually won. But on his way down to London, he stopped at a place called Wade's Mill and was burdened by the fact that in winning the prize, he learned. His mind opened to the reality of the slave trade, and he got back on his horse and launched the modern human rights movement. And he's one of these people, again, one guy, a college graduate, who was going up against the Church of England, the King of England, almost to a man Parliament. And interestingly enough, John Locke, who wrote The Rights of Man, the blueprint for the Declaration of Independence, had an interest in the slave trade. That's what he went up against. But he went up against it with new tactics. I study independence leaders, and often independence leaders are not people who wake up in the morning and say, I am going to lead a giant movement. Oftentimes, it lands on their head. I mean, Dr. King was a young minister, and frankly, the older ministers just gave it to him because they didn't want to take the potential hit of leading this thing in Montgomery, Alabama. Oftentimes people rise up, but what interests me is the individuals who break with tradition and say, in effect, I'm going to go after the same prize others have, I'm just going to try a different tact. And Clarkson set out, in fact, he took his prize money and printed, I think, 40,000 of a famous woodcut that shows a slave ship with the layout of slaves. So it's like the way that slaves were laid out to maximize the hold. And he printed that. He took his prize money and printed that. It's considered the first piece of investigative journalism. But history is full. That's one of the reasons I so dig reading history, because it's full of stories of individuals who, out of passion, perseverance, cleverness, chicanery, open hucksterism, made it happen. And whether it's at a giant level, I mean, never forget, man, when you go over to Robert Kennedy's grave over in Arlington, man, there's a quote from a speech he made in South Africa where he says, anytime a man seeks to right a wrong or seeks to correct injustice, he sends forth one small ripple of hope. But from 1,000 different energy sources, those ripples come together and create the waves that can wash down the mightiest walls of oppression. To me, that speaks to the power of the individual. It's not, too many people think I'm going to do something big someday, as opposed to I'm going to do something small today. So I'm trying to do both at the same time. But that's just, again, I just dig the idea of making waves. So, my attitude is, man, a righteous wave maker every day, man, churning it up.